So on the board here, you see the basic format of what was on the last slide, the question format and as well as the two different answer formats. To begin with, let's take a look at the question. The question asked, 谁是你的 blank 老师?谁是你的 blank 老师? So if we take a look at this format, we know a couple of things in here already. So if you look back into your notes, we know what 是 is, and that means is. And 你的 should ring a bell because the 的 shows belonging. So here with 你, which means you, this should be yours. Okay. And then there's a blank, and then 老师, as we know, is our teacher, right? I'm going to put a T for teacher. So something is your teacher, and this is your blank teacher, right? Question. This is a question format. So let's think about what kind of questions can we ask about your blank teacher, and what should go into the blank, right? If something is describing the teacher, chances are it's likely to be probably a different subject, right? Like who is your art teacher, or is your English teacher, or your math teacher, right? We could describe those. So in here, we can fill in with a subject, okay? Some sort of a subject. I'm going to put an S for subject, or S sub for, let me do subject. There we go. Okay? And then if this is a question and this has to do with your blank subject teacher, this probably has to do with a person. So this character 谁, even though we don't know it, based on this context, you could probably guess that this is who. Okay? So this literally is translating to who is your blank teacher. Okay? So we would fill in whatever subject it is that we are talking about. And then down here below, this is kind of our format that we have talked about before. The linking word and the description and the subject, okay? So we have our linking word, which is the 是, is, that never changes, right? So this is our linking word. So what goes before it either describes it or is the person we're talking about. And here, 我的 blank 老师 is blank, okay? And then on the bottom one, again, we have our linking word, which is our is, and then we have a blank, and then basically it's what is in front of here that's going back there. So this is just swapping order, the two different answer formats. Okay, so starting from here, again, whenever we're asking a question in the answer, it's always a good idea to reflect back to your question stem. So if here it's asking about your teacher, then when reflecting back to who's answering, we are, right? So instead of yours, we're going to do my, okay, so which is what is here, 我的, which is my blank teacher. So whatever subject we're talking about there, we got to answer it, right? So the same subject, my blank teacher is, and then you name the teacher, right? Whether that's, I'm going to just draw a person here for naming a person, okay? So whether that's Mrs. Red, Mrs. B, Mr. K, I don't know, whoever you want to name, okay? Mr. Dizon, Mr. Welch, okay? Anybody, any teacher or any person that you want to name there for whoever your teacher is would go in there. So if we're reversing the order down here in the second choice, all we're doing is we're bringing that person's name, the subject, whomever we're talking about, okay, the person we're talking about. Here, this subject, we're talking about the class, okay, just so we're not confusing the subject with person. The class, okay, so this is the class we're talking about, okay. But this subject is the person we're talking about, okay, the person in the sentence that we're talking about. So so-and-so person is, again, 我的, which is my, okay, and blank teacher. So here, the class would go in here, right? Blank class teacher. And that's it. That's the format of the grammar point that we're going over today. So in the next slide, there's going to be some practices. But before you go on to the next slide, make sure you take these notes down. Okay, pause the video where you need to take some notes, and then also take a minute to see if you can maybe use these answer formats to talk about a couple of your own classes and be able to describe who your teacher is before you go on to the next slide, which will be some practice time. Okay?